Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending where you're tuning in from. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. There is a thunderstorm. Um, there was just some rumbling. We had a little bit of rain, and the birds are singing again, but I don't think the storm has passed yet. So if you do hear any thunder in the background, that's what's happening. But hello, everyone. Hello. I hope you all had a lovely week, a lovely weekend. Whew, we had a lot going on. It was Brian's little brother's high school graduation, so we did that on Friday. That was a lot of fun. Um, and then on Saturday, we were also celebrating because we were only able to take half day on Friday, so the celebration continued uh, on Saturday. So we took him and his sister out too. So it was a lot of fun. Saw the new Spider-Man movie. Really, really good. Um, yeah, let me see. Yeah, you too in Indiana. So Suzanne is saying that there was also a storm. Yeah, it's been like super, super stormy. I'm hearing that from quite a few folks. It's also really humid. Yesterday we hit 80% humidity in here. What is it now? It is 70. It is 70% humidity. So it's pretty warm. I have a fan um going right now. So it's not like super, super hot in here. It's just the humidity. So the fan to kind of break it up a little bit because you start to feel really sticky. Now the plants don't mind. But yes, I do mind. I wanted to share a few things with you. So I had mentioned that Brian had bought me flashcards, the Sibley flashcards for the birds. So these are 100, and I've memorized these. So he got these for me at the beginning of May for my birthday, and he completely surprised me on Friday. Was it Friday? No, it was Thursday. On Thursday with this. I didn't even know these were coming out. I had no idea. He had apparently pre-ordered them, so they just arrived to the house, and I had no idea. So it was a very cool surprise. But Sibley apparently put out um, another flashcard game, but this is all trees. So these are trees of North America. Really awesome. And I went through the entire stack and I separated them between ones that I knew and ones that I didn't. So let me see. I put the kind of like the instructions in between them so that I could separate them. There's a lot of conifers, and that is something for me that I am still learning. Um, Conifers really get me. Another one is grasses. Yeah, grasses. I'm still working on grasses. But hold on, sweet gum. I know these. I know these. I think this is where they separate. Just trying to find. Ah, here we go. Okay, so this is where they separate. So what I did is they come with these little instructions. So I placed those as like my marker where I know. So these are the ones I know, and these are the ones I don't know. And so I have a lot of work to do. So I was like, oh man, I mean, at least I know a nice bit, but I don't know these. A lot of them are Pacific species. I've never been out like to the west, um, so the West Coast or anything. So I don't know a lot of these. And some of them are southern species. Um, a lot of conifers that I don't know how to I don't know a lot of these. I know a few, like white pine, the Coulter pine. I knew a couple of them. But yeah, no, this is something I gotta work on, but I really recommend it. It's super cool. And what they do, let me put this down again as my separator, is they give you the key features. So it's the leaf shape. They might show you the seeds, the bark, what the twig might look like, because this will have a couple different identifying characteristics, like the buds. Every bud is different for every kind of group of plants, every genus. The buds are slightly different. And then, of course, just any kind of growth habit, color, texture, how the buds might be separated. There could be a leaf scar that's showing something like that. So you kind of look at that and you get these kind of clues as to what the species might be. Um, so really, really good. And I have to learn. I have to learn this other, this whole stack here because I do not know them. But it's also another 100. Um, so yeah, so it's great. I really like these when especially if I'm like working a lot. I have to, and I just need like a break, a mental break. For me, this is really fun. So I was doing that with the bird one. So I would just take it with me if I've been going to a WeWork to be on their balcony because we're in an apartment. So I started getting a tan because I've been sitting out. It's only a block away, but I've been sitting out there, and so I've been getting a lot of sun. Uh, and yeah, I had my my flashcards with me, so I'd be like sending emails and like, okay, I need like a break, and then I just take out my flashcards and kind of gets you going. Another thing I wanted to show you is that there will be, so I'm executive director of Herbalists Without Borders, if you don't know, but I'm also a flower essence therapist. Now, I haven't had clients since like COVID. I kind of stopped taking clients because, of course, COVID, and I myself was not very well in terms of my health. So I stopped for a really long time. Um, and one of our board members is also a flower essence therapist, and she brought in another therapist to HWB, and we kind of got together and we decided we're going to be doing a free class on flower essences. And so we're going to be recording it tomorrow, but it's going to be going live on July 1st, I believe. So we're going to record it tomorrow, going to take a few days to edit, and then it's going to be open to the public. So you don't have to be an HWB member to join in. Uh, we just want to kind of, one, promote herbal flower essences, right? So we want to promote this whole kind of type of preparation, but also it's a good way to, because we have a lot of members only webinars. Um, and so I really wanted to do like a public webinar so that it's kind of not leaving folks out who are not members currently. So we're hoping to do a few of those per year. So HWB, we haven't done a free like public webinar in a really, really long time. So I wanted to, yeah, make sure to do that. And I'm gonna plan to do them and like these type of panels. So I want it to be dynamic. So it's like a conversation and things like that. And then we're gonna be doing a Q&A on Instagram in July. I have to double check. I'll be posting all of this in the Facebook group, and I will also send it out with the next email because it's going to be coming out. Um, but I'm trying to remember when the Instagram live is, but we're going to be doing that on Instagram live. So if you have Instagram, you can join in, and we're just going to be taking questions, and we're going to ask folks if they'd like to submit questions beforehand. And so you're more than welcome to. And then we'll answer them during the live. So pretty excited about that. I mean, there's so many great books on flower essences. I created a big book list on flower essences, and we're going to make some handouts to give out. So they're even especially like just there's so it's the batch batch flower essences. There's a bunch of really great books, and I've been reading this book on the body maps, and so on how to use these specific flower essences, but apparently they relate to different parts of the body, different like pressure points, meridians. It kind of layers with traditional Chinese medicine. It's super cool. So if this is just of interest, this is we're just going to be geeking out um, on what flower essences are, how to use them, and then I'll be talking about how to use them with community, kind of helping with community work and community outreach. So that's what we do with Herbalists Without Borders. We help folks, underserved communities, refugees, um, and a bunch of we have a donation distribution network. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if this is of interest, I just wanted to make sure to shout it out so that folks are watching out for that. And if you want to submit any questions, when we release the webinar, there will be basically like a little form at the end of the webinar where we'll ask folks to enter any questions so that we can answer those during the live. And then what else did I want to show you? Oh yeah, so yesterday evening we had to make a quick run to Home Depot, and I always check their succulent. They have like these big carts, like these shelves, but with wheels. And I had to check because sometimes they have some really, really good things, and it's like the only one there. And so I definitely wanted to take a look. And I found two plants that were really, really neat. And so I'm going to remove the flower because this is a glued flower. And I think I'm going to record it. So I'll show my process of removing these glued flowers on succulents and cacti. Because they do this because they hope it'll make the plant sell. But you can actually see the hot glue just blobbed on there. Pretty. And then it says it's a cactus with a decorative flower as the name. Now this is not a cactus. This is a euphorbia, and it looks like a euphorbia furrow. Now euphorbia is amongst my favorite genera. I love this family. I have a bunch of types of euphorbia here at home. So I had one furrow that was a little smaller than this one, that just didn't do well. And I think it was because it was so small. But this one is a mother plant with several pups. So much more established than a little rootless cutting. So I'm pretty excited, but look at these thorns here. So these are thorns, so they're not needles like with cacti. So with cacti, their needles are actually repurposed leaves. Basically, they're modified leaves, but these are actually thorns. And they're this like really cool purple color, and they look very cartoony. And there's another baby growing right here. And their leaves are these little green things that you're seeing here. There are actual leaves on there. Yeah, and so usually with these, if they're really loose, I'm able to just kind of take them off just like that. If not, use a heat gun. Low setting, you gotta have some patience, but I'll record it to kind of show you how I do it. But look at all the hot glue. You could just see where they put it on this poor thing. But it was too good to just leave there. Let me see where the grower is. Yes, George, you are right. It says grown by Altman, Vista, California. Yes, indeed, from California. But I love this little guy right here. But these are super cool. I really, really love euphorbia. So when I find an interesting one, I definitely need to snag it up. And then among my other favorite genera, so my favorites are Rhipsalis and Euphorbia. I do have a lot of Crassula. So Crassula's up there. like in my top 10. Um, but gosh, Ripsalis is another one. This one says Ripsalis assorted, also grown by the same grower in California. Super cool looking. I really love Ripsalis. I have a few species here and super neat. I'm not sure. This might be, I think it's Ceriscula, the coral Ripsalis. I'm not sure. Um, but you just see how at that joint it kind of separates out like this. So it kind of reminds me of a coral cactus, but I will try to see if I can identify it. But yeah, it's super neat, much more rigid. And I love that it's already growing enough to start to cascade. Super cool. Yeah. So I found this, and this one was about $4, and the other one was like $3.98. So yeah, so both of them were $4. So it was a really good find. So you never know. Every time I go to Home Depot, I have to go to their succulent section, like their plant section, just to see if I can find anything of interest. So I was definitely excited about those two. Um, yeah, because that was a very, very good find. Um, Let me see. Okay. Oh, and then last thing, my best friend sent me something, a really cool gift, and I had put it aside because I definitely wanted to show you. So she sent me this tumbler, really cool tumbler, and it says, "You're never too old to play in the dirt." Let me see if the glare from the window, but it's basically like a little garden, super cute with a little cactus and what might be either a Dracaena or a snake plant type of silhouette here. Um, Super cool. Yeah, another planty thing. I didn't expect that either, so that was super cool. Um, yeah, it's folks when they get me gifts, it's always like plant related. So, oh, and I had mentioned last week that I was doing an interview with NYBG, which I was really, really excited about and nervous about. And so that happened on Thursday, and I think it went really well. Brian was listening behind the screen, so he was like standing behind me as I was doing the Zoom call, so that he wanted to listen to how it went. And he was like, "Oh yeah, definitely, you got it." But I don't know. I was like, I don't want to celebrate until they tell me yes. So, but I think it went really, really nicely. Um, and I'm excited about the potential because if how it was explained to me, essentially I get kind of open access to the garden. Um, I get to do a bunch of behind the scene tours, like in the greenhouses and with the different horticulturalists. And so it basically gives me access so I can film everything. So I'll be able to film things that you might not usually see at from the botanical garden, a lot of like nooks and crannies, things that are happening behind the scenes. So this could be super cool. And then they would just kind of give me access. And I was meant, they were asking me like, what kind of content would I make? And so I was telling them, educational content that's very accessible to all ages. So maybe like species spotlights, also like kind of different ecological systems as well. So a lot of their greenhouses, like they have one greenhouse that's very like jungly. There's a greenhouse that's much more drier and hotter that they keep their cacti in. So kind of talking about like different biodomes, and um, just yeah, I was like, there's like different environmental aspects. We can do species highlights. We can do like behind the scenes, how do they set up before shows, right? How do they change an exhibit? I'd love to be part of that process to kind of show how they change a whole thing. Um, yeah. George, oh, how did this start? They released that NYBG shared out an application back at the beginning of May, I believe. I don't think it was all the way in April. So I think it was in May. Um, and basically, you had to apply. They were launching this program, and that they were going to be taking 8 to 12 people for the program, and to fill out this application, and you had to kind of write like an essay type of thing, um, about your background, about why you would be good for the program, what kind of things you would do for the program, if you got the program. Like it was a really long application, but good. It was very well-rounded. And so I took the time to do that, got that in. And yeah, and then they reached out to me to let me know that I'm a finalist. So fingers crossed, toes crossed, arms crossed, everything crossed. I'm hoping that yeah, that I can get into the program. It's super exciting. I used to be I've mentioned this before for folks who might have been here in previous classes, uh, but I used to do volunteer work over there. And so I used to work like in the cold rooms where they have the samples. I was doing a big project where we were trying to find the different artwork by this amateur mycologist, Violetta White. Um, and so she would draw mushrooms, and she was a New York native, and she would draw mushrooms and try to identify them. And if sometimes she would find species that she couldn't identify, so she would start to reach out to like the heavyweights, the folks that were writing books on mushrooms. So she started networking and kind of connecting with these really big scientists, and they were like, "You're really good. Keep sending me things." And so she would send them samples, and she would send them like different drawings that she did. It was really amazing. And then the problem though is because she sent them out to all of these mycologists, many of these mycologists, when they passed away, their samples, so all of their collections, all of their work, was given to NYBG for safekeeping. And so you kind of keep it in a giant refrigerator where it's kept safe. And the problem is, again, she shared it out with so many people, so her work was in so many different folders. There wasn't, one just central folder for all of her work. And since she was so prolific and she drew so many things, sent so many samples, she was like really enthusiastic. They were scattered all around the entire herbarium. So my job was to go through each folder and to check for her drawings. And so I had to learn what her handwriting looked like. I had to learn what her style of drawings looked like, her signature. And it was super cool, really cool experience. And I found so many of her paintings, and I got super excited. It was a really cool project. So I was working on that, and I was helping to digitize their lichen sample collection when COVID hit. So I was doing that for a couple months, and then COVID hit, as luck would have it. And then I worked until lockdown. So I was literally there until they told us, all right, where everyone's gonna have to go on lockdown. And so yeah, um, it was a really cool experience. So since COVID, life has taken so many turns. I started, because my teaching, I would usually teach in person. So I shifted to teaching over Zoom. I still teach in person, but I started doing more so on digital platforms. Uh, yeah, and then I started working with the School of Evolutionary Herbalism, started working with HWB. I was already a volunteer since 2017, but I started taking a more active role. Um, and yeah, so life just kind of changed. So even though I've been to NYBG a few times since then to visit, um, it'll be a really cool way to kind of make my way back to doing work with them. Um, I really found very fulfilling. It's a really beautiful place. If you ever visit New York City, I really recommend checking out the New York Botanical Garden because it's such a beautiful place. It's huge. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. And every time you go, it's different. So there's always something different. So definitely recommend that to all of you. Oh, thank you, Judy. Thank you. Yeah, it was a really cool experience. And I think I had done. I'll check if anything. I'll post that up on Facebook. I think I did a TikTok because this was like when I first started using TikTok on looking for Violetta White's work, if I'm not mistaken. Um, trying to see. I think I did. There we go. Yes. So here we go. So, oh, there we go. So I would have to look through the lists. I would open up these cabinets and they revealed lockers, and I had to look through all of these samples so that until I can find some of her drawings and her notes. So these rooms were very chilly, so I would have to wear sweaters, thick sweaters, and sometimes it got so cold that I was wearing a coat because yeah, it's like a big refrigerator. Um, and so yeah, and that's Violetta White's um, work there. So yeah, I had to look through all of those folders. So um, yeah, it's a super cool. If you can ever do some volunteer work at a botanical garden, definitely do so. All right, so that was some catching up that I wanted to to do with all of you. Um, that's what's happened since we've last connected. But yes, please drop your questions in the chat. Yeah, it's a open forum, so definitely if anyone wants to share anything, any plant related things, if you want to ask questions or talk about your collection or maybe something you've observed, anything like that, feel free to definitely open floor. Let me see here. But yeah, and um for NYBG, I'll keep you updated. So again, hoping, hoping. That would be really, oof, that would be really cool. Ooh, Brian made me some matcha. It's like a hefty amount of matcha. Barbara asked, my Christmas cactus is green, doing well, but should I cut it? I mean, you can. Let me add a spotlight here. Oh, let me see here. Add spotlight. Why isn't this? Give me 2 seconds. this just, here we go. There we go. The spotlight and spotlight. I don't know why. There we go. Okay. Hi.
Hi. So thank you. This Christmas cactus, previously it was in a spot for like years and years and years, and it suddenly started turning yellow. There was the spot, the window room got hotter, apparently. There's too much sunshine. I never would have guessed that. So the whole thing was yellow. So I moved it into this room, which is not sunshine, just light, but no sunshine. And I want to show you, it's doing great. And it was bought as years ago as Christmas cactus, and I have given pieces of it many times. But anyway, it looks so good now, but it's bigger than I know it to be. I wonder if it will be better off if I trim it. And what do I do with they're all good leaves now. Okay, so can I show it to you for 1 second? That's great. Thank you. Here's this baby.
Wow.
Here's this baby. This is about a 10-inch pot, but this has come back. This has revived so well. Yeah, a few months ago, right? We talked about geraniums. You told me I was the geranium whisperer in that same window that has gotten so hot. But things lived there for years and years. And just incidentally, my Chinese evergreens that I have for about 40 years, 40 years, have also gone very yellow, and they don't like it now at all. But here's one little piece that's coming back that I hacked out, and which I just know that you love to see. So this one, at least, you can make a fresh start with that guy. But yeah, Christmas cactus, typical one, like was started off as a little baby, but many times I've given away little ones, made little ones. I really don't know what the right thing is when you break off the leaves and stick them back in to make a new plant. Or how long should I let it go like this? I just don't know. I never had one, that got so big.
Yeah, no, that looks amazing. And yes, you were completely right in seeing that kind of color change and then opting to kind of pull it away from that direct light. I've been hearing that a lot.
Really?
And that a lot of folks who have these really bright exposures and the plants have been there for decades without issue. And then all of a sudden now they're getting too much light. So the plants are starting to get burned, or they're starting to get that blush, or they're turning like from a yellow, orange to a red
Yeah,
kind of
yellow with a red
coloration.
stripe. That was crazy.
It is, yeah. So the sun is definitely getting much more intense. Um, and I'm not sure if it's like because I know like for here we've been getting I don't know. I don't know if it's like smoke or is something that's making the light much more reflective, or I don't know. Because of course we understand that when from like the winter to the summer, there's always a shift up of intensity. But if your plants have been fine every summer for decades, and then now they're not, so there's something definitely going on with the level of intensity of that sunlight. So I'm not sure if it's like an atmospheric thing or what's going on. But yeah, I've had to pull plants away from my western window where it's blocked. So we have our building has like a square in the middle. So like a courtyard. So we get light from above, but across is like another apartment building. So it's like there's an obstacle. So that lessens the strength of our western light. We still get that evening kind of glow, but it's not as strong. So it's never really been that much of an issue where I've been able to keep quite a few. I keep some kalanchoes, Ursulas, my Ceropigias, all right there. I even have you can even see like I have these my Chaco, my El Chaco red philodendron. I have my Monstera subpinnata. So I have quite a few plants here, but I've had to like pull some of these guys just a little farther away because it's definitely getting a little strong. I've found myself watering them a lot more often, and I've had to move a few from this window because of that intensity. So with yours, finding yes a better light situation, they definitely can rebound from that, as you can see. So if anyone here is worried you have a plant that's turning orange or red, that usually is an indicator that it's just really strong light. So you're going to want to do exactly what Barbara did. You're going to want to either pull it away or bring it into another room where it's going to get a nice amount of light, but it's just a little bit gentler. In terms of the growth habit, so these guys grow like that. And so they will cascade down, and the bases will actually cork up. So they kind of look like they're becoming woody, and it's to kind of
Mhm.
support that weight. And they will
Yeah,
just trellis down, so it'll just hang down like a vine. They look
that seems to be what's happening. Excuse me, I'm sorry, you were
no,
still talking.
no,
Right,
yeah,
okay. And just right, I've been right with all these pieces when it has like 3 or 4 good leaf sections. I have always just broken them off and stuck them back in or put them in a tinier pot. That's how you do make a new one, but that
yeah.
the new plant, it's up to the new plant if it wants to grow or not grow. But most of the time, it's been wonderful. But yeah, question about something like this though. I'm accustomed to thinking of these as Christmas cactus from the season that we start them in. But would these, if things are evolving, would these flower again?
Oh yeah.
Possibly.
And I've actually seen that happen, where folks,
Hmm.
their Christmas cacti were actually like flowering at different points of the year.
Mhm.
Um, and so it really depends on how much light they're getting, the temperatures. So with the Christmas and Thanksgiving cacti, they respond at getting less light and cooler temperatures. So they would be between like 68 and like 70. If they're in cooler temperatures and they are getting less light, so I think they would be getting like 18 hours of darkness, and 6 hours of light. You can actually push them to flower, and usually you want to do that for a few weeks. There have been folks that what they do is they either have like a grow tent that is like blocked out, so they will kind of zip it up
Oh,
after 6 hours, so it's in pitch black darkness, and then they take it out the next day for 6 hours and then zip it up for 18 hours because they want to force it essentially to flower. And there are folks that have put them in their closets or in a cupboard, to just kind of force them to get that complete darkness, because if you interrupt that
yes,
light.
I have put paper bag, brown paper bag over it. You forget about that, but yeah, we certainly have. Oh, love it. I just want to show you real quick because I
Yeah,
happen
sure.
to have it my months a piece. This is about a
Ooh.
quarter of the monstera. And I moved it also. This is about a quarter, a very healthy plant. And the other 3 quarters is in that same window. It's fried. It's fried. And I think I can hack the stems, but it looks, if you didn't love plants, someone else might put it outside. But the stems are beautiful. But yeah, this baby, this is about a quarter, and the other 3 quarters is not. But yeah, here it is. Here's remainders of the Chinese evergreen, the Diefenbachia and the Monstera. All right, somebody else should talk, but I thank you
Oh
so
no,
much.
that's fine. That's so cool. I love the
Yeah.
fenestrations. It looks like that newer leaf. That is so beautiful.
Oh
That
yeah, it's
monstera
doing
is
great.
so
This
beautiful.
this is actually hanging out of the pot, but it's a whole stalk of good babies. It looks like a philodendron knot split at the moment. And originally I was going to put it in 2 pots, and then it just looks so nice. I'm just leaving it. I hope I hope it agrees with me that it would like to stay here. We'll see.
No, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
it is.
I love it when
Yes,
plants grow like
this is,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
with our plants, like I love things like I've let this you can see this runner that's growing on the TV right now for our
yes,
our escaleto.
yes.
Um I love when my plants go kind of nuts and
Me too.
I love it, right? It's like a more jungle like
Me
just
too.
kind of let the plant do what it wants to do. And
That's
Brian
us.
like
Yeah.
yes, Brian likes the uniformity. So he prefers like the plants like staying compact and upright and kind of, uh and like growing up the
Understand.
pole and things like that. Yeah. And I'm like,
Kind of give it a haircut more than let it wander. Right.
yeah.
Understand.
And so it's really funny when you see like some of my plants are just like going wacky and then his plants are nice and
Sounds like here. Sounds good. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
you're very welcome.
And you are darling as
Oh,
always. Great. Great.
oh, thank you. It means so much that folks, it's just great to tune in and talk to folks
Yeah.
and share our
Yeah.
plants. Like it really makes me look forward to Monday mornings. When before I definitely, it's like, oh, Monday. But now I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's Monday.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for this always. Right. It's a great thing.
Yeah. Um, George, yes, Christmas cactus. There is also yes, there is also Easter cactus, George. And how do you propagate it? Yes. So you want to make sure so those if you saw those little sections, right? So those are called phylloclades. Um, so they're not truly leaves, though we refer to them kind of colloquially, yeah, as leaves. But they really are flattened, modified stems that are segmented and they photosynthesize. And so, but again, we call them leaves. But you take a section, and so you want to have more than one usually, because sometimes one will desiccate, it'll kind of shrivel up during the process. So you want to make sure you have at least two, three, four is even better. And you take that section and you can put it right, like as Barbara mentioned, you can plop it right back in the pot. You can also, if you wanted to start it in a new pot, um, I haven't had a lot of luck starting them with no roots in water. Sometimes I've had them kind of rot, but if they had some roots coming out already, so if a section had fallen, for instance, and I saw there were some roots coming out, and I put it into a little propagation jar with a little bit, really shallow, just a little bit of water, and then they do great. But I don't know, I haven't had luck kind of plopping them fresh cut into water, but you can do that. My brother is calling me, but it's not letting me decline. There we go. Sorry, my brother was calling me, but the phone just wasn't letting me decline for a second. And yeah, and you can start them off, and they propagate rather readily. So, maybe 3 out of 5 is a pretty good percentage of it sticks really really well. Um, and the difference is, so the Thanksgiving and the Christmas cacti are the ones that they usually are flowering in the northern hemisphere around like November, December into January. Um, and then the Easter cacti are kind of, it's like April, like between like March to May, they might be flowering there. But again, you can end up kind of altering that and kind of forcing them to bloom for you. One important thing is if you're either the Thanksgiving or the Easter. If they are, babe, can you call Chris back to see if he's okay? He was calling me. Um, um, and regardless, if they are in flower or they are starting to get the buds, this is a very crucial time where you don't want to change anything. So I don't recommend moving them when they have flower buds or they're actively blooming. Don't mess with the temperature in the room. Um, make sure that they're getting a nice amount of water. They're not drying out. You don't want to mess with the amount of light that they're getting at that time. So once they have those flower buds, once they have those flowers in bloom, you don't want to mess with them because they can be very sensitive. So if the light fluctuates too much, if the temperature goes up, so if they start to get too hot, they will start to drop those flower buds before they even open. And so it's really, it's very heartbreaking because then, you probably won't see them flower again until next year. So yeah, so don't do anything. So don't change them up. Don't go, oh, they look so pretty. They're about to flower. I'm gonna move them to another room. Don't do that, because once you do that, the likelihood that all those flowers are gonna drop, it goes up exponentially. So don't just it's in a good place right there. You definitely don't want to move them at all. Um, Holly, will you explain to us how to trim a tree that's growing tall? I want to plant the cutting, allow the main plant to get more limbs, spreading out and protect it where I cut off the height. Oh, okay. So it depends on the type of tree. If you're talking about like a houseplant tree, like a ficus, like a fiddle leaf fig or a rubber tree, those are the more common trees that we tend to have indoors. Those you can definitely propagate. Um, in order to protect it where you cut it off, well, unfortunately, um, there aren't like readily available um things to protect wounds on trees. Um, Believe me, I've tried to look, and this is why I this is why I was aware of that. I was thinking, well, what if there was something like a protectant, like a sealant, or something like an antibiotic type of thing that I can apply to plants when I do a cutting, so that I decrease the likelihood of some type of pathogen affecting the plant. And so I was looking for that, and there really isn't anything that's available kind of commercially. This is something more like for arborists if they're going to be cutting like your actual like tree that's in front of your home. There's like things that might chemicals they might apply. But for us, I mean, rubbing alcohol can be applied, but even a little bit of hydrogen peroxide that's diluted in water. But just know that whenever you're applying, um, oh, can you hear that? That's Eddie, our frog. I think the audio is coming through. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's loud enough. But that was Eddie, our frog. He's just started croaking. Um, but whatever you apply, so if it's alcohol or hydrogen peroxide, it will kill the living tissue that's there. So you would basically just kind of sterilize the stub, but nothing would grow from that stub. So of course it might grow around it, but just from that stub itself. So just for clarity. But yeah, you can do that. Um, and in terms of, yeah, if it's getting too tall, so let's say your rubber tree is getting too tall, you can pick a spot. Try to cut right before the next leaf, right? So that you're kind of right before that the end of that internodal space, so between leaves. So right before those leaves start, you're going to cut, and then that section is what you can either repot. You can just stick it in the dirt. That works. If you want to start it in water or start it in its own pot, You can absolutely do that. And that does tend, if you cut the top off, it does tend to make them kind of produce more branches outward. And it does kind of make the growth a little bit more shrubbier, right? If that's what you're looking for. This also works with smaller like other plants too, things even like a lot of the mints. So if you ever have like basil or mints and they're starting to go into flower, but they're like a very thin kind of scraggly plant and you're trying to kind of really you want to get a lot of leaves on there that you can harvest. Um, you can remove those leaves, just pinch them off. Don't let them go to bloom. Just pinch off the leaves so that the plant isn't expending so much energy into the flowers because it's like, oh, these flowers, this is, my genetic legacy. And so it funnels like all of its energy to those flowers. But once you clip them off, there's no more flowers. And so that energy kind of gets redistributed and it starts to get bushier. So that definitely happens. So, I mean, I know you can do that with rubber trees. There are certain species of trees that you are able to make cuttings successfully, but not all trees can be made, propagated. Like it's called vegetative propagation. So that's when you cut a piece of a plant to propagate them. So not all trees do that, but something like a ficus tree, definitely. Dragon trees, which are Dracaena, you can cut them, and that's you can do that successfully. Um, Palms, no, you can't do that with palms. Not really. Um, Not that I'm aware. So once you cut the frond won't root for you. I think you have to do root division if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't think you can't take like a palm leaf and propagate that. Yeah, I don't think so. If I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I don't think you can. Um, yeah, Tanya, I have a question about my Calathea orb. So an orbifolia soil. Sure, Tanya.
Yeah. Hi. Okay. I have this orbifolia, and because the tips get brown all the time, I made a self-watering pot with it. So it seems to
Nice.
like it. It's been like a month, and the ropes, I strung the rope in after this was potted to like the top, right? And then I noticed the soil looks a little gray on top, so I pulled the ropes down so they're like this high up in the pot. And I was wondering if this was like mold at the top, or is it dry? It's like grayish, but the soil is not dry. So I think it's mold. And I was
Yeah.
wondering what I should do about that.
Yeah. So it definitely does. It can be mold. So if you're seeing like a gray and it kind of looks like a film, or sometimes it can get even fuzzy. It kind of makes the ground look fuzzy. And so yes, that can definitely be
Okay.
mold. Um, what a couple of things. So one, you can increase the air circulation. So I see you have a fan. So if maybe leave the fan on a little bit longer, is you just kind of want some more air circulation, because if the air is stagnant where the calathea is, that will promote that mold growth. Because more air circulation is more air passing through the soil and it dries out a little faster. You could
Okay.
also scoop it out. So if you had like a plastic spoon, if you wanted to kind of take off a little bit off the top, you can totally do that. Um, you could try to also maybe remove water from the reservoir so that it dries just a little bit enough, like in the top
Okay.
inch or so, and to kind of kill off that moisture access to the mold. That's another option. I'm not sure how you feel about like springtails. Springtails are awesome. Um, I know, I know. It's always I always ask. I'm like, I don't know how folks
No
feel, but
bugs in New York. No,
no
I don't want any
bugs.
bugs in
Okay,
my apartment.
so Yeah, because I was like, oh yeah, you could just add springtails and they'll go to town. Um, but yes, removing it, so like manually removing it, letting like that top first kind of inch or so of soil dry out completely, and increasing air circulation might do the trick for you. Because
Okay.
yeah, it's if that soil, it's because there's a lot of organic matter in our soils. So as long as you're not seeing any mold that's starting to kind of take hold of the plant itself, so it's like attacking the stems or anything like that. Usually, a lot of those molds are completely harmless.
Okay.
It's just, materials in the soil that are being broken up, and it has no interest in your plant whatsoever. But sometimes there are some molds that do want to attack the plant. So as long as you're kind of watching it, you're like, okay, and you can manually kind of scoop it off, and kind of keep an eye on it that it's not kind of getting overgrown, or you're not starting to see it growing on your plant or anything like that. But that orbifolia looks gorgeous.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. I got
Like,
it because the kitten, and of course the kitten took a chomp out of it before it opened. That's cute, right?
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
but
But
the
yeah,
size
I
of
love it.
those leaves, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and the double pot has worked because the new leaves since I did it don't have brown tips anymore. So it's working. I thought I was gonna kill it, but
It's so beautiful. I love the striping on them. I
yeah,
feel that when you look at them, it looks like they're painted on. It's just,
yeah. Their leaves, they're gorgeous. They're
they're
gorgeous.
so pretty. That is so pretty.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, and you had a success with the cutting of the rubber tree.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Yes, and so
Yes.
we had that question, Holly. Yes. So yes, she had
Do you want me
success
to
with
show it to you? It's
oh yeah,
right here.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
Holly, so she had um her ficus, she had a rubber tree that as opposed to growing too tall, it kind of wasn't growing
it
to
wasn't growing at all.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like stagnant. And so she did a cutting right there, as you can see, and that promoted more growth on the
All
side. So
this
all that
since
whole section,
since April, end of April.
it's
I grew all
amazing.
that and it rooted and it's grown all that and I put it in the pot there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
see, and then you can put it
it's
right in the same pot.
right in the same pot. Yeah, I'm amazed because it didn't do anything for 11 months.
It's so great. But yes, Holly, so see, there we go. Perfect. That's an example.
Perfect example. Thank you so much,
So
Jocelyn.
cool. Oh, you're very welcome. So yes, Holly, you can definitely do that. And so that can happen when your plant also gets too tall, right? And you want to get it to kind of spread out. You want to also, if you have limited space, so you're like, all right, it's hitting my ceiling. I've seen rubber trees like hit the ceiling and then start growing like this way. So they can definitely outgrow our spaces. So they would need a trim, and that's totally fine if you wanted to do that. Um, yeah, let me see here. Um, Gabby, I have a flower stalk. The buds haven't opened yet, coming out of my snake plant. Should this be cut down? The snake plant leaves are also very skinny. Great question. So this is really up to you if you'd like to let it flower. Again, as I mentioned, flowering does take a lot of energy from the plant. So if you feel that the plant isn't doing really well in the first place, it might look a little scrawny, but mind you, there are a lot of snake plants that their leaves are just naturally thinner. They're not always like super wide. Um, but yeah, if you're feeling that, if your gut is feeling weird about the flower because you're saying like, hey, the plant, it doesn't look that great, then yes, you can definitely cut that flower, because it is. So sometimes flowering, while it can be triggered by environmental stimuli, so let's say light, So a lot of things come into the factor, factor in there to trigger a flowering stage. It could sometimes just be a natural cycle of things like the light, the temperature, sometimes even atmospheric like humidity changes and things like that could trigger a plant to flower because it stimulates kind of those trigger points from the wild. What would kind of set it off to flower in the wild? It's kind of like, oh, it's a seasonal change kind of thing. But then other things that could trigger plants to flower is also stress. So sometimes if the plant isn't doing very well, it will actually funnel energy into creating a flower kind of as a last ditch effort. This can happen very commonly with a lot of succulents, and they call them the death bloom. And so that's usually because it's like the last bloom and then the plant dies. Because some plants are monocarpic. The snake plants are not monocarpic, but it's just as an example, like with some succulents, some bromeliads too, like air plants, they will flower. They put out that flower, the flower dies, and then the plant dies and might produce pups. But yeah, the mother plant will ultimately die after blooming. So some folks, if they have their succulent and they start to see that it's going to try to put a flower stalk, they cut it off to kind of buy a little bit more time, to have a little bit more time with their succulent before before it flowers. So yeah, if you think that the plant might be a little stressed, it isn't looking great, yeah, you can definitely cut that. The flowers are very pretty, but they can attract pests that you won't want that would probably make this snake plant even more unhappy. And so the flowers, they have like nectar, and so sometimes they might get covered in things like aphids or mealybugs, especially, are very attracted to these like clumps of flowers. And so yeah, definitely you can cut it. You can cut it just to be safe. That happened when my palm, my Camiadora, had flowered. So it had like these little flowers, and then it's like they were exuding like nectar. It was very sticky, and I was like constantly like looking at them, and I had seen a couple of mealybugs, and I was like, no. And so yeah, I just removed it. It's just easier. It has flowered in the past, and it's giving me fruit, though it's sterile fruit because I don't have a male plant. But yeah, every time your plants are flowering, just kind of just watch them. This has happened with my Hoyas too, where if like my compacta, it was flowering. I was taking was it the camera, I'm forgetting the name of it. Time lapse. I was taking a time lapse, and then the plant just started doing poorly. Like it was like blooming, it was starting to bloom, and then it wasn't doing very well. And then it wasn't until I was like really inspecting it that I saw that it had some mealy bugs, and I was like, oh. So it can happen. It can happen. Let me see here. Oh, Diana, I will open up that email. Give me 1 second. And then A. Aguilar, my dill plant has grown so tall. The leaves are on top of there's leaves on top of each stalk. Is it okay to cut them short about 5 inches from the bottom and hopefully grow its leaves from there, or am I killing it? Help. So I don't think that if you cut them, I don't think that they will put out leaves from that same stalk. I believe that they would have to put out a new stalk from the base that would then have leaves. So I think that if you cut like the stalk, it's just kind of a stalk. You kind of get left with just the stem. I don't believe that stem would then put out a new leaf, like kind of to get new leaves. Yeah, I don't think that they grow that way. So I think that yeah, once you kind of cut, that's it. So I mean, if they are getting just way too tall, if you wanted to kind of cut that and harvest the top portion, then that would probably prompt it to put out more stalks, um, and kind of start over. But at that point, I feel like you might as well just cut down as low as you could go, because they would have to put out more stalks. I don't think a new leaf would come out from a cut stalk with dill plants. I'm trying to think of like Apiaceae family plants. I'm like, I don't think that would the leaf would come up. If anyone knows, please. But I don't think that. I think like once you cut it, you cut it. Yes, George, thank you for concurring that you can't propagate a palm from a frond. Exactly. Um, yeah. Yes, George, the removal of the apical dominance to promote lateral growth. Exactly. Um, yes, those are the technical terms. Absolutely. And have you tried rooting a rubber tree cutting? Me personally, no, not a rubber tree cutting. I have uh it was a leaf of a fiddle leaf fig. It was just as a experiment. And it did root, but then, and the leaf lived for quite a little while. I had it for several months. I'm trying to think, how long did I have it? But I had it for several months and it had roots, but of course it would never grow past that. Um, but that was a fun experiment. So if you ever have anyone here, a leaf of your you accidentally break off a leaf of your fiddle leaf fig, it's also a ficus. You can root that, but it won't grow, so you'll never get a tree out of it. But it is a fun thing to do. It's just like one leaf in a prop in and these leaves are huge, so it looks really cool. You can enjoy it for a couple months, but that's really it. It's kind of like an ephemeral. You kind of just enjoy it for a little bit, and then yeah, it's not going to grow for you. um but yes, but rubber tree cuttings, though, they're very, very easy to propagate. So usually, you, as Tanya showed, you can just kind of pop it right into the soil. So with the mother plant, you can do that, or you can start it in brand new fresh soil. You can also root them in water as well. So you can do that. Oh, Gabby, I noticed sap on the flower stalk too. Should I cut it at the base? Yes, absolutely. You can definitely cut it at the base. It's just it's these flowers, they're meant to attract pollinators, right? And so they can tend to end up attracting the wrong sort of invertebrates that you don't want. You're very welcome. Yeah, so you can end up, it might attract things like mealy bugs or aphids, especially aphids. Anything good that's very sugary, they're gonna want access to that. So George says, speaking of Saint Severia, I got a whale fin yesterday on my way from Phoenix to Vegas. I felt that $40 was reasonable for a 10-inch plant. Totally, totally. Planted, Plantea, at downtown Flagstaff, a neat house plant store. That is very cool. 40 inches for a 10-inch pot. I mean, sorry, 40 inches. 40 $40 for a 10-inch pot, a 10-inch plant. That's great. So that is a pretty good deal. I remember when whale fins were going for over 100. So that's definitely a good buy. Whale fins are super cool for folks that might not be familiar with whale fins. And so they're just these super wide snake plant leaves. They get super, super wide. It kind of looks like a whale's fin. And yeah, they come, there's also like variegated varieties. They can come in like really, really cool varieties. And you can get pups that you can separate, but usually you're seeing them sold kind of like by themselves. It's like one plant. It's like that's the statement piece. But they definitely do put out pups. So you can kind of have multiples. but they get rather large. Let me see um, if I can find. There we go. Whale fin. Yeah. So as you can see, and this one is $65. I'm trying to see if it says $15 shipping. Doesn't say. I mean, the plant does look like it's a nice size, but 65 just for that. But you can see how wide these plants get. They're super, super neat. But yeah, these used to go for over $100. Man, it was like 2017, 2018. And they started getting really, really popular. And I just remember them being over $100. And I was like, oh no, that's oof. I wanted one, but oh, that was steep. Um, so they're super neat. So that was definitely a good one. And next weekend, I'm gonna be at we're going to my best friend's house upstate. Yeah, upstate. So we're gonna see if we can find any fun plant shops over the weekend. And then in maybe like late July, early August, we're gonna be going to visit some friends in Pennsylvania. And it's another excuse for us to go to Philadelphia to Ill Exotics. And so yeah, I will film that and and we'll see because they're so cool. Gabby, that's so crazy. It looks like one leaf. Yeah, and it is. It's one leaf. It's one leaf. And so folks were paying over $100 and it would be one leaf. And then eventually, if you take care of the plant, it will put out pups. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, like here, this was the main plant, and then it put out this pup, and I just kind of let it grow. Um, it's kind of gone crazy. I might remove it. Um, but yeah, so you do get pups that grow. I have my moonshine back there that is oh, you can kind of see it. It's over there. Whoop, where's my finger? Here we go. Over there. There we go. That's my my moonshine Sansevieria that also has pups. So you can get pups, and then you can separate them out. So you can, when you do a repotting, you can let them kind of go grow. You kind of want to let them get to a nice size, and you can then remove them. Um, Oh, Gabby, when are you going to Philly? I'll send some Rex your way. Yeah, so we're trying to figure out if it's going to be the end of July or beginning of August. It's going to be one of those weekends. And so it's going to be like maybe like, yeah, like a Saturday to Sunday, like early morning Saturday leave and then return. It's like a one night kind of thing. But yeah, please, if any plant shops or anything like that, definitely send that my way. George, 80 to 85 in San Francisco. So it's still, yeah, so it's still pretty high up there. But yeah, no, I remember like, and during COVID, some things did go up in price substantially, but even before COVID, um, yeah, there was some of these prices were crazy. And then I look at the plants that I'm able to get now for such cheap prices. Um, and it's crazy because yeah, it was like the variegated Adansonii was people were buying them for 1400 for one leaf, unrooted, not even rooted. And I was like, oh no, that's too much of a gamble. And now you can get a variegated Adansonii, very good quality, between maybe $100 and $200, for like one leaf, 100, and maybe one that has like three or four leaves and that is rooted for about 200, maybe a little over 200, but like still low 200s. In comparison to the 1400. I remember when obliquas I have an obliqua, and I got that guy for what, $65? 65, 75? I think it was $65. And I still remember when that back in like 2017, where there would be eBay, the bids that folks would like auction off plants, and over $1,000 for an obliqua. And it's so weird when I see now like some plants that are much more accessible, where before it was just ridiculous. It was like, oh no, that's my rent. I can't buy a plant, that has like two leaves for what would basically equate my rent. It was, yeah, it was crazy. And even the same with Spirit to Sancti, now we have a Spirit to Sancti here in the house. Um, when before, I mean, gosh, again, well over $1,000. Um, and then now it's been going down. Now it's been going down. I think you can get them for, I think Brian got his, what, it was like 200, 250, something like that. But they're becoming more and more accessible. So it's, yeah, I've definitely curbed it with yeah, the rare plants. Just kind of calm it down, because yeah, I was like, I would save up, and then I would get the plant, and then I'm like, oh man, I wanted all these other plants that were much cheaper. But I, yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna curb it a little bit. So I've been a little bit more intentional with the plants that I choose. And yeah, because I mean, I definitely get super excited. I see a plant, I've never seen it, I've never had it in my collection. And then I'm like, oh, I want to have it. So I have to I have to, you know, calm myself. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Deanna, let me see what you sent. One second. Oh, I just saw that someone had reached out about the botany in a day book. I will send that your way. Um, oh, it didn't attach the photo. Deanna, it didn't attach.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely send that my way. I have it open here, so I'll
Okay.
see it come in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just trying to see if I missed any other question. Ba-ba-bum, ba-bum-bum-bum. Oh, here we go. Gabby, I read that it's good to sprinkle cinnamon on the soil. Is that true? And for all plants? Great question. So I have used this before when I had a pretty bad fungus gnat infestation a few years back. And I was just putting soil in all my plants, but I'm sorry, cinnamon in the soil of all my plants. Um, so yes and no. So you want to make sure, one, that it's true cinnamon, so Ceylon cinnamon. You want to make sure that it's true cinnamon, because there are kind of knockoff cinnamons that are sold that actually are not cinnamon at all. They're actually cassia. There's like cassia, and there's other types of plants that have a very cinnamon like adjacent, right, kind of flavoring, and they're used in they're a little bit cheaper to harvest and process, and so they will sell that as if it is cinnamon, but it's actually not really cinnamon. So just make sure that the bottle says Ceylon cinnamon, um, and you can use that powder. And so this is more so to this kind of lessens the growth of fungus on the soil. So this is like, but more so, I feel like this is more so if you have like an active fungus gnat infestation. When there's a little bit of fungus in the soil, again, a lot of times it's really harmless. It's something you can kind of remove. You can kind of adjust the environment, and that will help the plant. So you don't have to kind of go as far as to add things to the soil. But it is something you can have experimented with that. Um, it somewhat worked. I mean, it definitely, I didn't see any fungus growing on the soil. Um, and I guess it helped a little bit with the fungus gnats, but for a little while I was trying that as well. Um, but it won't hurt your plant. So that's one important thing, is it won't hurt your plant. It's one of those experiments where it just, thankfully, it won't harm anything if you try it. But yeah, I would say that's more so if you have like an active fungus gnat infestation, you can try that. So you can put some soil, kind of put it on. But I've found what's better for that, if you do have a fungus gnat infestation, is diatomaceous earth. So diatomaceous earth, I feel it does a better job in terms of killing those fungus gnats. So you would kind of put like a little a thin layer on top of your soil. If you're bottom watering, it's less time that you have, less times you have to replace it. But if you are top watering, once it's wet, you do have to put some dry diatomaceous earth back on top. It's like a dust, so you kind of put it right back on top. And that's pretty effective because it'll create this barrier. So any larva that is trying to, it's pupating, and then it's an adult, and it tries to emerge from the soil to take flight. It can't, because there's like this wall. And also, if any fungus gnats are coming to land in the soil to lay eggs, they die as well. So diatomaceous earth is great. And you can use it in so many ways. Just make sure you get the food grade version. But you can, I've had, we had ants coming in through one of our windows when they were doing construction. I think it was like 2 years ago. And I had to put diatomaceous earth all along the window ledge, and that worked. Because they were escaping from below, and they were literally climbing up the side of the building, but we're talking thousands of ants. We're just literally walking in a line, and as they hit people's window ledges, because we're in an apartment building, they would just go in. And so we had to put the diatomaceous earth all around the window ledge, and in like on the outside and the inside, and yeah, that stopped them. But yeah. And then George asks, how big is a fungus gnat? Are they seasonally related? Or are they seasonal related to ambient temperature? So fungus gnats are smaller than fruit flies. So they're really, really tiny. You might end up kind of like seeing them fly past you. Now, the adults are harmless. They're more, if anything, very annoying. You might end up with one in your mouth, or it might fall into your drink, or just pester you. But they're not interested in you. They don't bite or anything. What they do is they eat fungus. And so what they do is that they find soil that's kept relatively moist, that has a great environment for them to lay their eggs. And then their larva eats fungus and grows in your soil while it's wet. If you let your soil dry out, that tends to destroy that environment. So it can't survive if it's not moist, like in the soil. So then that kills off the larvae. But you might still have some adults flying around. And with that, you can get sticky traps. So they are these little yellow, they're very attracted to the color yellow. Thrips, just so you know, are very attracted to the color blue. But with these yellow traps, you can buy them. They're called like gnat traps or fungus gnat traps, and they come in different shapes. They come in like butterflies or flowers or just things like that, and you stick them in your plant. And yeah, they're not very strong flyers, so they kind of easily get stuck. Um, I like to use gnat catchers, so they're kind of little fans. And again, they're very weak flyers. They're not like a fruit. A fruit fly is a much better flyer than a fungus gnat. But basically, it's like a vacuum. And so if the fungus gnat gets near the fan, it sucks them in and kills them. And you can have that running by your plants, and that works relatively well. And in terms of why do you get them? So they can sometimes come with new plants, because if the place where they were, they kept that soil really wet. Sometimes, like in big box stores, they kind of overwater their plants. So the soil might be super saturated, and this is like the perfect environment for a fungus gnat to lay their eggs. And so they'll be hanging around there in order to do so. So you might end up kind of bringing them that way. And then if you have plants that do stay pretty moist, so if you have like peace lilies or just certain plants that like moist soil, they like wet feet. They're going to be predominantly living in those, in kind of like laying their eggs in those soils. So you'll kind of see them buzzing around those plants. If you let your plants like dry out, but this might not be possible, right? If you have plants that like wet feet, you can't let them kind of go through a drought period, unfortunately. So you have to kind of mitigate. All right, now I have fungus gnats. What can I do? So diatomaceous earth works great. The sticky traps work great. And those fans like the gnat catchers. I think there's one called a catchy, or yeah, I think it's called a catchy. You can totally do that. And that's there. But again, the adults are harmless. It's the larvae. They still won't eat the roots of your plant, but if you have seedlings, they can. So if the roots are really, really tiny, or even like a very like a beginning stage propagation, where you have something that's just starting to get those little roots, because they're not like the official roots, right? They're not the like those soil roots. They tend to be what are called adventitious roots. They're like wound roots. They're much finer, thinner, much more vulnerable than a nice thick like soil root, for instance. So those are much more vulnerable to attack by young fungus gnat larvae. But yeah, I have what could be fungus gnats, but they are around my kitchen sink, but not where my plants are. Yeah, they can also appear in areas. They might find them in your bathroom. You find them in areas that might stay kind of relatively damp. So ways there might be, you want to also check that there's no leak. There isn't something that might be attracting them, something that could be potentially growing fungus. Because they like that dampness, and they like anything anywhere where there might be like access to food. So try like drain cleaning your drains, and just kind of checking also around the edging of your sink to make sure that there's no like damage, leaks, or anything like that. Because yeah, there's also like drain flies. That's another thing, that they will hang around drains. And so keeping your drain like clean. And there's easy ways you can do, like baking soda with vinegar, with white distilled vinegar. You can do that, kind of cleans it, makes like a volcano in your drain, to clean it out. And then you can put hot water, and you can try to do that like once a week or once every 2 weeks. It just kind of cuts down on any critters that might be attracted to that. Yeah. Jamie says, I have heard a layer of sand will keep the gnats from living. It worked, but now I wonder about the sand in the soil that's not naturally sandy. That's a good point. Yes. So yes, a layer of sand can help, because it's creating like a wall, right, between the fungus gnat larvae that they're trying to emerge, and now they can't. But the problem with the sand, is that it can lock in extra moisture. It lessens the amount of air circulation that is reaching your soil. So it can end up actually causing some damage to the plant in the long term. So if it's trapping in more moisture and the plant doesn't like that, then it might not be appreciated. Yeah, and so I would be careful with that. And yeah, and if it's not naturally sandy, and I mean, I don't think it would cause too much damage if it were to be mixed in. So you could do that, like after your fungus gnat problem is alleviated. Um, but having a full layer, that can be a potential issue. And Jamie says, Raid has clear window strips that that did not show that worked well on catching gnats and did not show like those yellow strips. Yeah, I've heard of those like the window strips, those Raid ones. I haven't tried them personally, but yeah, the yellow strips, the ones, or the not the like the fly strips. I mean, though that technically would work too, but the ones for the plants that you like just stick right in your plant pot, those are very, very effective. Very, very effective. Uh, so if you wanted to try that, and those little gnat catcher fans, they're relatively cheap now, so you can get them for some places under $5. So I got 3 for like $12. So they are relatively cheap now. They're much more accessible. So I do recommend that. And then, Jamie, I just got rid of a months-long infestation of drain gnats. I put out traps and cleaned the drains with vinegar and baking soda, but they kept coming back for months. Exterminator came out for months, and they finally found the source in a nearby apartment on the floor. Hopefully they cured it. They had no interest in my plants. Yeah, yeah. So the drain gnats, yeah, they're not interested in your plants. It's just more of an annoyance, right? It's just because they're flying around, they might just get in your face. Um, so yeah, it's just annoyance. Their life cycle, like small, like fruit flies, drain flies, or the gnats, fungus gnats, they don't have very long life cycles. And yeah, you can, and they are all pretty weak flyers, but I feel like fungus gnats are the worst. So they're very slow, and they're just not, yeah, they can't put up with like your fan or something like that. They would yeah, no resistance. um all right, so I got all of those. Thank you so much, everyone. I truly appreciate you tuning in. It looks terrible outside. I haven't heard any more thunder. But let's see. Let's see. It's been pretty drab over here. First we had all the smoke, and now it's been really like dark and rainy. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Please enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Holy moly, it's about to be the end of June, so I will see you in July. So I will be doing a class next Monday on July 3rd. So yeah, so I will see you then.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
You're very, very welcome. It's always great to
Bye-bye.
see you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's great. Stay well.
You too, everyone. Oh, and Darlene, stay safe. Yeah, severe storms. Everyone who's having some stormy days, please stay safe. Have a great one.
Yeah. Thanks for everything. Good luck on the job.
Thank you. Have a great one.